What's up, everybody? This is Dell. Welcome to Dell on Movies. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. And welcome to another episode of Movie Swap. And tonight, I'm excited as always for my guest. Him and I really just started communicating a couple of months back. Of course, like a lot of guests, we pass each other in streams. I say pass each other, figuratively. We seen each other on a lot of different streams. He's watched some movie swaps here, came into the chat, and I've seen him on other streams, so I figured it was definitely time to get him on. And I am talking about none other than Guy, aka Caveman.
Hey man.
What's going on,
Hey,
man?
hey Del. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as a kid, I used to watch Captain Caveman on the cartoons. Your name come from that, or something different completely?
Well, the shouting comes from that definitely, and then being scruffy and stuff. Kind of look like a caveman. So
I don't think you look like a caveman at all.
right,
Little hairy around the chin area, but not like
right,
a caveman.
yeah, yeah.
It's all good.
Well, you
Now,
can't see me. You can't see me from here down. So
true, true, true. That is completely true. All right. The other thing that you are known for, not you, not just you, but you're known that when you pop into a stream, Miss Caveman pops into a stream. So how did that come about? Did she just take it on her own one day, or she just you kind of urged her? How did that happen?
well, I didn't urge her or anything. She just kind of. I mean, she kind of started following it a little more when I started to try to get into it, and she kind of saw like the enjoyment and stuff I had with sharing with the community and stuff, and
Okay.
um, kind of I always tell people that I kind of like found my tribe uh, because there's not a lot of people to talk to about this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
That has the same passion and stuff that like you or I do. So
Right, and that's the case for a lot of us. I mean, we don't have a lot of people around just that do have the same passion, like you said, for the collecting and for the movies that we do. So it is cool to see you and Miss Caveman. Is there a channel in the works for the two of you?
no, I don't think so. Um, I we haven't talked about it, but I don't think so.
Okay, okay. She camera shy.
Uh, well, maybe a little bit, but it may have more to do what she does for her work from day to day.
Okay,
Um,
got you,
so
got you. All right, all right. That is cool. Yeah, everybody who is watching, thanks for being here, of course. And if you are not subscribed to Guy or the Caveman Movies and More is the full name of the channel, definitely go ahead and do that. He's got a great channel with some great content. And let's go ahead and check and see who is hanging out with us tonight. As always, Adrian is first in the building. He says hi to both of us. How's it
hey,
going,
Adrian.
Adrian? And interesting question. I like this question. This is from Emmett. Who do you think is the better Punisher? Dolph Lundgren, Thomas Jane, Ray Stevens.
Thomas Jane.
Thomas Jane. You're a Thomas
Yeah,
Jane fan?
yeah,
Okay. I'm partial to John Bernthal, to be honest with you. Did you watch the series?
yeah. Uh, yeah, I did. I just didn't. It didn't gravitate towards me too much. I mean, I liked Daredevil, and he was interesting when he came in to fight Daredevil and stuff. But then when he went off on his own, just kind of lost me a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Um, do you think the Thomas Jane movie was your favorite of the movies?
Yeah, I think Warzone was okay for what it was, and then you know, Dolph Lundgren's like a campy, version of it, which is fun in its own way. But I think just um, you know, not just Thomas Jane in that movie, but Ben Foster did an awesome job, and there's a big crowd of people that were around that were,
Yeah, yeah,
really, really well.
yeah. It was a fun one. I'm partial to Warzone, but I wanted something more violent from my Punisher, so I got it with Warzone, and the story
Right.
was kind of weak, but I that's just the way I was for that.
Well, he ripped the nose ring out, and
True, true. It did a lot. They did a lot, and he's got another question in a minute that we're gonna get to from Emmett. There's Miss Caveman. She says, "Hey to Adrian, and to me, hello, Miss Caveman." And Emmett had another question: Is who do you think is more brutal, Rorschach from Watchmen or the Punisher?
I say Punisher, but I have a limited amount of knowledge about Rorschach.
I'm exactly the same. I don't know a whole lot about him.
I mean, I know about all I know about him is from this movie, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and so I mean, I think uh, was it James Earl? Uh, what you got
Uh, um,
again?
uh, James Earl Haley.
Yeah, James Earl Haley. I mean,
That
I
was
think
his
he
name.
did a
Yes.
great job, playing that character. But I didn't have any exposure to that character before seeing that movie.
Yeah,
I didn't.
I'm the same way. I didn't really know anything about the Watchmen before the movie came out, and not much after. I mean, I know the things I've seen, but not really anything in
Right.
particular. So yeah, I, I'd have to vote the same way. All right, Spicy is here. What's going on, Spicy? Spicy 4K action. He says, Dell, Caveman, hope all is well. All is going pretty good for me. Going pretty good for you, guy.
Yep. Pretty good. Hey, spicy jalapeno pepper man.
Yeah, there you go. And Caprice is in the building. Hey, Caprice, Draculina Horror, aka Draculina Horror. She says,
Hey,
hello,
Caprice.
everyone. All right, Caprice, I'm looking for more content. I'm looking for it. Please give it to us. No pressure though, none whatsoever. All right, Turner fan Rich is here. What's going on, Rich?
Hey, Rich.
Uh, between Rich and Caprice, they will be coming up on the channel at some point in the near future. And Spicy, the invite's coming. Don't worry, it's coming at some point. Miss Caveman saying hi to Spicy. Mizzy is here. What's going on, Mizzy?
Hey, Mizzy.
One of the Steelbook crew. And we got some highs back and forth with each other. And let's see if anybody else has popped in that I've not mentioned yet. So yes, a lot of back and forth here.
I love this community. I mean, just
I'm with,
everybody's saying hello to each other and not leaving one another out and stuff.
yeah, yeah, very very friendly, very warm group, and that's what keeps most of us around. Smirk 88 is here. He says, "What's up, Dell and Caveman? Looking forward to your chat tonight. Thank you." And Rich, he's excited, hopefully about tonight, but definitely about his time coming up on Movie Swap in a few weeks. Um, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. So before we get started, I want to let everybody know in the chat that we're gonna do things a little bit different. Caveman went above and beyond the Call of Duty, so he actually watched two movies, and in turn, I had to match his energy. So I watched two movies. So we're gonna talk four movies tonight. Still not gonna We're gonna try not to keep you all night long, but we did watch four movies together. And I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce the first movie and give us a little bit of a synopsis.
Well, the first
Agree
movie.
with you. Said I love how
Oh,
inclusive this community is. But go ahead, go for it, guy. I'm gonna give you the solo shot here.
okay. So, Sliding Doors is kind of a time travel movie. This is a Shout Select title. The um, the reversible art, but the reversible art is this, and basically, it's like if you're walking. Um, say you're walking down a stairwell and you bump into somebody and it causes you to lose 10 seconds of time. And then once you lose 10 seconds of time, you miss a train or you miss a connecting flight or something that takes you off the rails. And what's interesting about this movie is that it does that, but it splinters itself. And it's got, like, I think, like masterful editing to it to where um, the, the way you shoot it and stuff, and I don't want to give the whole thing away, but you she's going down the stairwell and she bumps into somebody, she misses her train. And then they show the scene go back in reverse, and but the next time she makes it past the person, she sidesteps it and she makes it to the train. Well, in one scenario, when she makes the train, she gets home in time to be able to catch her boyfriend cheating on her. And when she missed the train, she had to take a taxi and she got mugged and all this other stuff happened to where she didn't get home until much later, and so she didn't discover the affair until much later. And I guess that's about how much I want to go into like so
Yeah,
far. Like,
that's probably good right there. So basically, just for anybody who wasn't quite clear, so we have Gwyneth Paltrow is the
right,
star, and she lives with a boyfriend. She's leaving work one day, and like I said, she in one scenario she basically goes straight through and gets home and catches her boyfriend in the act with another woman. And in the other scenario, she bumps into somebody, and then that causes a few other things to go on. So we have like a better butterfly effect thing happening where that causes a few other things, and she loses some time. And then by the time she gets home, uh, the woman that the boyfriend was with is no longer there, and she walks in after the fact. And then we follow both scenarios through the whole movie. So you get basically simultaneous. Uh, they're not on screen at the same time, but you get kind of a simultaneous story going where we kind of jump back and forth between both. Kind of like I was immediately reminded of 500 Days of Summer. Did you see that one, guy?
yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah. So there was a scene. They didn't do the whole movie that way, but there was a scene where it was like expectation versus reality kind of thing where they split the screen and they showed how he thought it was going to go and how it really went on both sides. And that's kind of the feeling here where this is different because they both really happened, but
Yeah,
it's
we
not a
can get into
split
that
screen.
later. We can get into that later because
Yeah.
I got I want to
All right.
get your take on that later. What happens later on? But,
Okay. So now you mentioned it's a time travel movie. So my question then right off the bat though, is it and I'm sorry, I still got you on solo. I'm
mhm.
sorry about that. But is it a time travel movie or are we just watching two different versions of events? What do you think on that?
I, well, it's not really. I mean, it's a splintering of time. I would say not necessarily like she's
Okay.
transporting to like a like to way up in the future or whatever. But it's just showing you how a 10-second interruption can change the course of your life.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, splintering of time. I like that. By the way, anybody in the chat, if you've seen Sliding Doors, let me know what you think of it. Let us know. And yeah, throw some questions out there about it also, because I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about it or what you guys think about it or have to say about it. Um,
The other thing I want to mention too, though, is I don't know if you recognize uh, John Hannah, but John Hannah was the guy who was in the Mummy movies. He was the brother that was to the sister of the archaeology deal.
he's he's somebody that I know by face, but not really by name.
right,
So when I see his face, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy, but I don't really know his name. I've
right.
seen him in a few things.
And
And
Janine Triplehorn, she was uh, drawing a blank right now, but she was in um, Basic Instinct. She was the other girl that was trying to get with um, can't think of his name.
with uh with Michael Douglas,
Yeah, with Michael Douglas. And
was
um,
she wasn't the psychiatrist, was she?
yes,
She was?
yep.
Okay, I didn't recognize her. Okay.
And she was also the wife in the firm.
Okay. Okay. I don't know why I didn't recognize. Well, probably because it's been some years since I've seen Basic Instinct.
Right.
So yeah, I need to watch that one again. It's been a long time. All right. So we got this splintering of time, and which um which storyline did you like better?
Well, I liked the storyline where she you know caught him and how she kind of like reinvented herself and when she met the Hannah character, he kind of like springboard her into looking at her life a little bit differently.
Yeah, she definitely reinvented herself. She definitely, took charge, took control of her life.
And
And yeah,
she
I would
also
agree.
became more confident, whereas the other version was more of a dowdy kind of a role, or more reserved, laid back. Like,
Hmm.
thank you, man. I have another. You know, crap on me, man. Have some more. Kind of deal. Whereas,
That's that's a good way to put it. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead.
oh, that's okay. And then, but then the other was just it's how you would want to. The other path, all the way up until the end, is how you would want to see yourself. You would hope to see yourself to aspire to improve yourself and to evolve.
True. What did you think of Gwyneth Paltrow's performance? You think she pulled it off well for both sides?
I think she did a pretty good job on both sides. I don't think she did a good job with the accent.
Yeah, I was getting to that.
But as as far as playing the dowdiness and playing the polar opposite, I thought I thought she really shined there where she was, because she kind of you can't really fake that confidence part of it, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, that's pretty tough. So I'm with you. She pulled off the emotion part, but the actually being British part, I was like,
Yeah,
that accent was just, I don't know.
yeah.
It- and I'm not an expert on British accents, but
Me
it
neither. But
ye-
I think the Hannah guy is actually English or whatever he is. But
right.
I think that's his normal speech or whatever.
Yeah,
But then the Janine Triplehorn character, I don't know what she was because I don't think she
I think she
had
was
a
American.
nationality. Yeah,
I think she was supposed to be American and just working over in London or in Britain,
right,
and that's at least that's the feeling that I got
right.
from it. And I'm trying to
Yeah,
remember if they actually mentioned her being American. I thought they did.
yeah.
Not
I
real
just know
sure.
she was rich and she was like supposedly like an ex girlfriend of the
Yeah.
guy. So
Yeah, and she was really really aggressive also.
yeah.
That was interesting. Um how do you think
What she played a similar character in Basic Instinct.
true, true, very true. All right. So well, she's got to type, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it boils down to. All right. Now w- let's check in and see what we got out here on the chat here before we go any further. Uh, all right. So Caprice is all ready for a movie. She says, "Ooh, Mizzy agrees." Miss
Agree to what,
Caveman,
Missy?
yep. Triple Horn is it was in Waterworld. I have still not seen Waterworld all these years. Are you a fan of Waterworld? I hear mixed things on it.
You have to forgive some of it, but and I mean I like Kevin Costner a lot as
Mm,
an actor, and um, if you've never seen The Postman is another kind of like apocalyptic um, movie, kind of like Waterworld.
I haven't seen
Um,
Postman either. I've heard about both, and I mean, I like Kevin Costner most of the time, so I don't know why I'd never seen him, but I'll get to him one of these days. And I found a dead rat. Thanks for hanging out with us. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before.
that's my friend Eric.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, thanks for coming out to support, guy. And yeah, she said she's very underrated. I'm assuming we're talking about Triple Horn. And Spicy has never heard of or seen this movie. I before this, I had heard of the movie. I knew it existed. I just didn't watch it until now.
Do you want to
And
hear about how I discovered it?
go for it.
So I was an early adopter to DVD. I mean, I had like 200 VHS tapes, and so like in 1997, I went out and I paid $800 for a DVD player,
Wow.
and then but then I got into it early enough to where I sold all my VHS tapes, but I got like $10 to $20 per tape.
Oh wow.
Like,
You made out pretty good.
right. So, but DVDs at that time were costing like $25 a pop, so you know didn't really help much. But at any rate, I was struggling to try to find content, to try to find something to watch, and so I would go to Blockbuster and I would walk up and down the aisles and stuff. And this was just a blind rental. I just stumbled across this movie, and I guess that's one of the reasons why it's kind of so dear to me.
Okay. I remember seeing the cover art on the DVD years ago because I used to work at Blockbuster, so I remember seeing the cover art all the time. You see
Oh
Gwyneth
yeah,
Paltrow face up, then you see
yeah,
her, flipped upside down on the bottom.
right.
So I do remember it being around. $800 for a DVD player, though. I can't imagine. Woo.
It was like 7.49
You
plus a
were
couple of DVDs.
man, you were definitely itching to move on to DVD.
Yeah,
I waited a few years. And Miss Caveman says yes. They said she was American. She didn't have an English accent. Yeah, I knew she didn't have an English accent. I just couldn't remember if they actually said she was American. And she also told Spicy that it's really good. And Smirk is asking, what is the name of this movie again? It is Sliding Doors. And
right.
she answered that for him before I got to it. Thank you, Miss Caveman. She's doing co-hosting duties tonight for me out in the chat. And all right. And we're saying hi to Eric. She's in and she said, good to be here. Thank you. Keep hanging out. And I love my shirt. Could she even see my shirt? Yeah, I guess she could see my shirt. Former president and I share a birthday. Oh, cool. Outstanding. And Smirk says, I like the actor John Hannah. In this movie, his character was funny in The Mummy.
Yep.
Yes. And Ms. Caveman, I remember when VCRs were $600. Yeah, that was also way, way, way back in the day. I don't know what they were when I was a kid. That's when my mom got one. I have no idea what they were then.
The beta machines and stuff when they first came out, they were like $1,000.
Now, I had a cousin who had a beta. He had a beta and a VCR. And
Hmm.
yeah, he never told me how much it cost, but he was like the only person in the neighborhood who had a beta. And
I
yeah,
think
he
I was
had
the only person in the neighborhood that had an HD DVD player. So
yeah, not many people have those. Every now and again, I come across those. All right, so let's get into the last part of this. That or the part that we said we were going to get back to was it. Did it all really happen? And what's your take on that before I give mine?
yeah, that I mean, I rewatched it again today, um, and I still kind of have somewhat of an issue with it. It was like so at the end, spoilers, but at the end, um, both versions of herself, had an accident,
Mm-hmm.
and so both versions of herself ended up in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember, there was a scene that was about halfway through the film where she was walking outside of the restaurant where her other self was inside the restaurant working. So I still don't know whether it really happened or not, except we're at the very end when the big reveal is that one of them dies. And
Okay.
I guess we'll tell which version dies, but one of them dies, and the other one just happens to run into um, a past lover. uh, Hopefully that's vague enough. Runs into a past lover, and they have like a little banter exchange where it's like they're familiar with one another.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know if that it's supposed to symbolize that if you're meant to end up at a certain point, that no matter which path you go, you're going to eventually end up at that point,
All right.
or
Eh,
or what?
that's kind of how I took it. Is like she was gonna end up at the same point regardless of the path she took. So I kind of looked at it almost like a multiverse situation where they both actually happened, but like you said, the splinter time kind of thing, they both actually happened just in different universes from one another, or maybe not different because she's still one person. We just getting kind of a what if. Well, what if she went
Right,
straight through? This would happen, and then what if she went the other way? Then this would happen. So I think it's more about where she ends up as opposed to whether every little detail happened.
right.
So that's where I was with this movie. All right, and I got Spicy saying John Hannah is great. Is there anything else about this movie we want to touch on, or you want to touch on before we move on to the next one? Since we got a whole slew of movies
Yeah,
tonight.
no, I think we're good. Just so everybody knows, you can stream it on Hulu and on Max, either or of those.
Yeah, I watched it on Max, and yeah, I watched it on Max. So what I would do is quickly give my overall thoughts on Sliding Doors, and I'll start by just saying I did like this movie. It was a good movie. It it's a rom com, but it's not typical because of what we talked about, the splintering time travel, or time travel, whichever way you want to, whatever you want to call it.
Right,
And so you get almost, it's like you getting two different movies just running at the same time. And I thought,
consecutively.
yeah, I thought that worked really well because, like you said, I thought the editing was good. We bounced back and forth between stories, but you don't get lost.
Right,
You pretty easily follow both stories, and yeah, you might develop a more feeling for one over the other, but both are interesting in the way they play out. So yeah, I did enjoy this movie. So good pick for that one. And we're going to oh wait, let's go ahead and see if we have anything else. Miss Caveman, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. Yes. Okay. They ran that line. They said that line a couple times. They kind of traded that one back and forth from Monty
Right.
Python, so that was cool. I love the reference. All right, so let's go ahead and switch over to the one of my movies, and this one I'm gonna take solo for just a moment.
Okay.
Is called The Villainess, and this is a Korean movie. Our friend on the cover right here, we catch up with her right at the beginning, and she is trying to escape a facility. She's just going through the hallways and all the corridors and all the different rooms, and she's mowing people down left and right. And but before she before she's in this can escape, she's captured. And basically she's trained from there to be an assassin, and then after a little bit she's turned loose in the world, so to speak. She also was pregnant, so she has a baby with her, and they reserve the right to call her at any time for a mission. uh and things get crazy out there after that. And my favorite part of the movie, of course, is the open, which, like I said, we just start 100 miles an hour. How how are you feeling through that open?
Uh, well, it kind of had like a very hardcore Henry kind of
Yeah.
feel to it, and Miss Caveman watched this as well,
Okay.
and she had to actually kind of fast forward through that part of it because it was giving her motion sickness.
Okay. Okay.
So, and then the other thing too, and I'll just mention this real quickly. I'm super happy that I watched this movie, but one of the things I said to you was, please no subtitles because I'm dyslexic. So I I felt, or went to see if the movie was going to have subtitles, and then as you saw from the list of choices that you gave me, I had seen 7 of the 10 movies that you had given me, and so I was like, well, It Man's probably going to have
Did
subtitles too, and it was a timer on Amazon Prime where it was going to go off the screen like in 7 days or whatever. So I just went ahead and did it, and I'm so glad I did because if anybody does have like suffer like what I do, and it's just uh, it doesn't. Fortunately, it's not one of those things that requires a lot of dialogue.
no.
If it was heavy in the dialogue, I would have been like, Joe, what are you doing to me?
Right.
But
Did you have a dubbed option for the for where you watched it?
no,
Okay.
no, I didn't
Sorry
know
about
that that was an option.
Okay, it should have been, but I apologize. But I'm glad you did watch the movie. All right. When she when she gets through the she gets through all the training, she goes through that. What did you think of the what would you think of the guy that they put to tail her, basically the guy that they put on her?
Um, well, obviously he loved her. He wanted to be with her.
Mm,
Um, and I thought he did a good job of playing that role out and acting that role out.
mhm.
Um, again, like there wasn't like a whole lot of dialogue, but he kind of like committed to her like before he even officially got assigned to her. You know, he was already kind of like had the wheels in his head spinning, like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm gonna make this happen or whatever. And so I just thought that part was really good.
Yeah, he was in love with her before he even met her. That was
Yeah, yeah,
and
and
his the guys he worked with were kind of giving him a hard time about that too.
right, saying basically saying he was whooped. You know,
Yeah. So did you figure out where the story was going before it got there?
Uh, no, I mean, I kind of maybe about 2/3 of the way, I knew that he wasn't going to let anything happen to the little girl, and
Hmm.
that he would pay the ultimate sacrifice.
Hmm.
Um, there was one thing though that was kind of a little bit confusing to me because, and I watched it twice so I could try to make sure that I didn't miss anything. But when she went through the plastic surgery, there was I couldn't tell any difference. You know, it may be horrible for me to say that, but I couldn't I couldn't visibly tell that. Like I even looked on IMDb to see if there was like two different actresses that played that role to like to further distinguish it, and I didn't really see the purpose of that whole plastic surgery deal.
Okay. Okay. Understood. I could tell a difference, but yeah, you had to look kind of hard. So I understand. I completely understand where you're coming from on that. All right. Um, how about the how about just the action in general?
It reminded me a lot of, like I said, like hardcore Henry, but um, just the first person, you know, you know, fighting kind of thing. Like you,
Uh huh.
you saw her hands, you didn't see her body,
Right. We
and
got
like
less of that as the movie went on, though.
right, no, yeah. Otherwise, I don't think Miss Caveman would have been able to watch it. um, and I've got her scores too, how she rated it too. But
Okay. Okay. We'll get into that when I let you
okay,
do overall thoughts. I'll let you go ahead
okay,
and give both of those. All right, let's see what the people are saying here real quick. Smirk says that's awesome. I just picked the villainous up. Haven't seen it yet. I was wondering if this was any good. Well, I hope you're getting an answer here. And movie trains and studios is here. This is what's up, Dell and Caveman. What's going on, man? Another person who will be on the channel shortly. And here's Miss Caveman talking about what you were talking about. I had to skip through the beginning due to the first person POV. It was giving me motion sickness. LOL. It was really good though. Oh, that's good to hear. And Mizzy saying, hey, and Smirk, that's good to know before I start watching this movie. LOL, I might have to do the same. All right. So just, yeah, like I was just saying though, guys, if the first person POV, you get most of it in the beginning of the movie, the first 10 minutes or so. The rest of the movie, it pops up every now and again, but it's short instances. It's not a ton of it. But the camera does move. I will say
yeah,
that the camera does move, but it's just not always that really extra shaky first person
right.
kind of
It
deal.
definitely becomes more tolerable as you work your way through it.
Right, right, because we get a lot more scenes where the camera's pulled back. It is also a pretty bloody, pretty gory movie. How are you with that?
Yeah, I was fine with it. It's definitely more bloody than like John Wick and stuff like that.
Yes. Now, are you a fan of Asian cinema? Because there a lot of the movies, their action movies, are definitely more bloody than American ones.
Yeah, it's something that I hear everybody talk about. Like I watched the stream with that Ryan did, movies with Ryan, and uh, I have an interest in it, but I hit that struggling point about if there's too much dialogue,
Right,
I
right.
can't absorb it.
The good thing is, if well, streaming is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes you'll have the option for dub, sometimes you won't.
Right,
If you buy the disc, you almost always have the option for dubbed, but that's completely up to you if you ever wanted to do that. All right. And looking at, let's see, I think that's all we have in the chat for right now. So I will turn it over to you and let you give your overall thoughts and Miss Caveman's her scores or whatever you want to do with that,
Right. Um,
and go for it.
okay. Uh, well, my score for Villainous, and again, I really appreciate you suggesting this movie to me. Um, I'm sorry I struggled with it a little bit at first, but
No, you good.
I got over that. But for me, I give it 4 stars, and Miss Caveman gave it 3.
Okay,
Um, so, but she says she really enjoyed it once she got over the whole POV thing. And
got it.
it is. I mean, if you like John Wick or Sisu or any of those types of movies, I think you would really enjoy this because it is in your face, kind of bloody, kind of samurai, kind of fighting and stuff.
All right. Um. So Miss Caveman's a harder greater than you.
Uh, I don't know.
It's cool. So I just say that because you said she gave it a 3, but she really liked it. So man, she's tough, but that's all. That's
Well,
all good.
yeah, I think she's kind of like I, I think she's kind of like Tony from Basic Blues
Okay.
in a way where um, I haven't seen his letterbox, but I hear that he'll watch something and he'll give it 1 star, but if he could see like have an appreciation of what they're trying to do, he'll give it a heart, you know, which confuses a lot of people, I would think.
Yeah.
But I think she's the same boat that she, uh, you know, took it for what it was and appreciated what they were trying to do.
Oh, I get it. She's gonna make you earn those stars, though. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right. So we each have another movie to go. So I'm gonna go back to you for your second movie, and go ahead. I will eventually get that picture up there. But go ahead and start talking about the other movie.
um, the other movie is called Sorry to Bother You, and
Not that one. Give me the other one. Your other
oh,
movie.
oh, sorry, Cadence. Yeah, sorry,
That's all.
Cadence.
It's all good.
It's a movie that was directed by Martin Sheen, and it's truly a family affair because um, it's got Charlie Sheen in it. It's got a lesser known brother is in it as well. It's one of Lawrence Fishburne's earlier roles. It's got a bunch of actors that I would butcher their names if I tried to guess them off the top of my head. So I'm going to use cheat here a little bit.
Hmm.
Um,
And I'm gonna try and see if I can actually do this without screwing everything up. Let's see if I can share something. And all right. So can everybody? Can you see that, Caveman? You see the
yep,
post up there? All
yep,
right. So yeah, that is the poster for Cadence, 1990. You see Charlie Sheen on the front, Martin Sheen over here to the right, and Lawrence. Then going by Larry Fishburne. One of the last movies he went by Larry Fishburne.
yeah,
And I'm gonna come back. All right. All right. I'm back over here. All right. So, before we get to this here, Smirk did have a question about the villainess. Sorry to ask. You may have answered this already, but in the movie, what is happening here? Okay, there it is. In the movie, is the movie only in subtitles, or does it have an English dub? Let me take a quick look at the Blu-ray. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does have an English dub. Yeah, it does. You can watch it in Korean or in English, and of course, it has English subtitles. Um, Fish is here. What's going on, Fish? He says, "Hey
Hey,
there,
Fish.
Dell and Caveman."
Fish
And
killed it last night on our challenge on Huck's channel, the Sci-Fi challenge.
yeah, so I did watch that last night. You guys were going all in here. That was some good stuff. I had a good time. If anybody missed it, over on Huck's channel, he did another trivia night. He did sci-fi, and Fish was a part of that. Caveman here was a part of that. Uh, Dave,
4K
the
low
4K
down.
Lowdown, he was a part of that, and
We were
there were a
Collectors
few
Club.
few others,
Right.
and it was a good time. I'll not spoil who won or where anybody finished. So for anybody who hasn't seen it, go check it out over on Huck's channel. All right, and Fish says I need to revisit Cadence. It's been years. All right, so the basic story, for anybody who's not clear on it, not sure, we meet Charlie Sheen's character as after his dad has passed away, and it's hitting him real hard, and he's already in the U.S. Army, and there are rules about where you can get tattoos, and basically you can't get them where they would normally show when you're in your uniform. And he decides to get them on his hands, which absolutely would show. So he's thrown into the stockade, into jail for 90 days.
And
And
not just for that, for the fight too.
yes, for the fight, he fought an MP. Um,
Right.
and the person who runs the stockade is played by Martin Sheen, and Lawrence Fishburne is the leader of the group of prisoners that are in the stockade. All right, so one of the things that kind of every now and again would kind of take me out of the movie a little bit was because just for the simple fact that it's Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen. It's
Right.
nothing that they did, but it's like, okay, Charlie Sheen is mourning his dad, but he's in a scene with his dad. So it was kind of weird to me like that. I don't know if
Yeah.
you had anything like that when you were watching it.
I think that I mean I think Martin Sheen on his own, he because he directed this too, but
Uh-huh.
I think that that was one of those things where he was doing too much. Like if he would have just acted in it, uh, maybe it would have been a little bit better. Um, Maybe it would have flowed a little bit better if he wasn't the one making all the editing decisions on the
Right, right.
cuts and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like I said, it might not have been so bad even if they were, even if I knew they were father and son, if they didn't look so much alike.
Right.
I mean, they really
Yeah.
just look a lot alike. Um,
Did you
but
know? Did
go
you
ahead.
recognize? Did you know who the other son was?
Um, I know it was either the private that was escorting him in, or was it the other guy, the one with the
It was
glasses.
the one with the glasses.
The one with the glasses. Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out which he was, and he's obviously also related to Emilio Estevez because they have the same last
Right.
name, so apparently same mom there. All right.
No, it's the same. They're Martin Sheen is the father to Emilio Estevez, and he's the father to all of them.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I knew he was the dad to all of them. I just didn't
Right.
figure out how all the last names came into play.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, what do we think about Charlie Sheen in this movie as far as well, one is character, and two, how did he pull it off?
I think he pulled it off at the end,
Okay.
and to me, that's really where you want it to kind of solidify itself. When you come to the conclusion of the story.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of tragic stuff that happens in this movie. Um, there's a lot of stuff that's not cool by today's standards that happens in this movie.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what your thoughts were on that. Like, if you felt like it needed to be there, or if it helped facilitate the story. I mean, I think it helped facilitate how crazy Martin Sheen's character was. That he was,
Hmm. Are you referring to the not the last scene, but the scene that eventually gets him in some trouble?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay. So I fully understand why it's there. So that's not my issue. Um, I will say that of the performers, I thought that Martin Sheen gave the best performance. I thought he was the strongest in the movie. Like
right,
Charlie Sheen was just kind of doing what Charlie Sheen in the '80s did.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
Yeah, he
But
he was.
I really think though that Larry Fishburne really kind of stole the show for me.
Hmm. He's been good in everything that I've seen him in, so that's not a
Yeah.
surprise.
Well,
Um,
it's not a surprise. I'm just saying that if you go into this movie thinking that it's going to be just the Estevez is a machine,
mhm,
stealing the show, or whatever. It's that everybody that's in the barracks with him, really, you know, give breakout performances. I feel
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and like I said, Fishburne is always good. I was happy with his performance. For me, I don't think they quite gave him as much to do or enough to do to say he stole it for me. But when he was on the screen, I mean, he did what he
right,
always does.
right,
Um, at least that's where I was with that particular character.
right.
Okay. Um, how about you mentioned the editing and the way the story flowed. What are some of the issues you had there?
Well, I think that they kind of, I don't know if they ran out of money at the end, but just like they um, kind of hurried up with the ending. I
Okay.
kind of felt because I mean he he told the truth. Um, it ends in a court case where Martin Sheen is at risk of um, getting locked up or whatever for making a bad decision. That if you watch it, you'll see what it was. But um, he it, so he goes to court and he's Charlie Sheen made a bond with these you know five, I can't remember, it was five or six other people that were there. So he made a brotherly bond with them, and they, you know, Charlie Sheen's character knew that that Martin Sheen's character was totally in the wrong. But at the end of the day, he had to tell the truth in the court, and they all were thinking that, well, he's our brother now. He's going to stand up for us. He's going to make sure that this person didn't die in vain, and so they're going to get some real justice for him. And um, so then they kind of had a falling out, and the way they, I mean, it was satisfying the way they kind of bookended it, but the bookend happened too quickly. I thought it was like they just, he was getting out. He was supposed to go to Vietnam, um, and he was getting ready to ship out, and so they just kind of like real quickly kind of like mended their rift. And to me, that was just unrealistic. There should have been more
Yeah,
time.
they tied that bow pretty quickly. I will.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I don't know if that was, you know, an editing decision by Martin Sheen, or I don't know enough of the history of the movie or whatever to be able to say, why they made that decision or what, or if they just got to the end of the budget and they said, okay, you got 2 more days to shoot and that's it,
Mm.
you know, because unfortunately in Hollywood sometimes that happens.
Yeah, it does happen sometimes, and I'll be honest with you. I kind of blame the writing for that one. I don't know that that was a budgetary thing because, and I say that because I've seen that kind of thing happen in a lot of other movies. It just felt like, okay, we'll just have this one moment at the end, and it's supposed to be a heartfelt moment, and then we can call it wraps on it. Um, so I mean I had some issues along the way with that, but let's before I get into that, let's see what the other folks are saying out here. Fish saying just hey, and Miss Caveman giving us more information. Emilio is the oldest of the brothers. I was never sure of that, so thanks for that. I knew him and Charlie were around the same age. At least I think they're around the same age. I could be
Hey,
wrong.
Tiana.
Tiana's here. Hey, Tiana. She says, "Hey, everyone." And lots of love for Tiana in the chat. And CS Charlie Sheen was also in Navy SEALs same year, 1990. Yeah, he was a
And he did,
busy actor
and
back then.
he did Platoon before that too, right?
He did Platoon. I haven't seen Navy SEALs, but I have seen Platoon. Platoon is an excellent film, at least in my opinion. And again, lots of haze back and forth. And they were chasing the success of Top Gun. Yeah, yeah, there were a lot of these kind of movies where guys were going into the military at that time, or in that 4 or 5 year stretch after Top Gun. So I can definitely see that. And again, some haze back and forth, and Platoon is way better. LOL. I will agree, and we'll get into more reasons why. So I would definitely Platoon for me is one of the best war movies made. I'm not
Yeah.
sure how you feel about it.
It was. Uh, we went to see that in, as seniors in high school. It was like a field trip that we took to go see that movie because it came out in '87, I think.
Yeah, 87 sounds right. Yeah, yeah, that was a really good movie. Charlie Sheen was really good. Willem Dafoe, of course. There was a lot of great performances in that movie. All right, so the let's get back into what you were talking about with the before the ending, the court case that takes place.
Right.
Uh, here is well, the movie was kind of unraveling for me already, but here's where it kind of really fell off the rails for me with the court case because
Okay.
I think it altered the messaging of the movie in a way that uh didn't really sit well with me.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I can
and
see that.
yeah, and I'll get into that a little more into my final thoughts. And before that, a lot of the scenes uh before we got there was just also a lot of cliche in my opinion. It was okay. We've got all these scenes where we got to tick all these boxes. Charlie Sheen first he comes in, he has a bit of an attitude, so we check that box. Him and
Right.
Martin Sheen, him and the sergeant don't get along. We check that box. Then we got the white guy going into the barracks with all the black prisoners, and he has a hard time getting along, so we take that
Right.
box. And then we got the all the black guys have the rhythm and got the nice cadence, so we take that box. So it was a lot of cliches
Right.
back to back to back from me. And then the court case kind of sank it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I can
And
see
then
that because it to me it was more. I guess my memory of it and looking back on it was more of like the bonding that
mhm,
happened. That to me was my memory of the film, and what I enjoyed the most about it was how they did bond and come together.
mhm,
How they found. similarities, how uh, Fishburne came to uh, Charlie Sheen's defense and vice versa, and Charlie Sheen, his character knew to take the one guy that was like the boxer
Yeah.
to go work on the water tower, to get that part of it. I mean, is Charlie Sheen that good of a basketball player? No, but it was a means to an end. I think to to get to get the leverage he needed to get that to get to a point where he was able to tutor somebody else to impart some wisdom that he had, you know, onto like a fellow soldier.
Okay. All right. And I get that. I do get that, they had spent all this time together, and they did spend a lot of time on them trying to build a bond between all of the soldiers, between the soldiers that were already there and Charlie Sheen, and then of course working on the antagonistic relationship between his character and the sergeant, Martin Sheen's character.
Right.
And so they spent a lot of time on those things. So I do understand. um I do understand that part of it. And we have a few good men reference out here. You can't handle the truth. Also another great movie.
Yeah.
All right, Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson and Demi Moore and lots of other people. Yeah, if you haven't seen A Few Good Men, anybody out there, go ahead and check that one out also.
Yeah.
And as I always say before I go any further, yeah, if you are not subscribed to Caveman, definitely do that. Uh, Also, subscribe to each other out there in the chat. Lots of great content creators. I say that every week. I mean it because I watch all you guys' channels. Or at least I try to watch all you guys' channels. And I don't know if you're like me, but what happens is I will I'll watch a bunch of different channels for a little bit, and then I'll wind up watching two or three people's channels a lot, fall behind on somebody else's stuff, and
Yeah.
then I'll pick up somebody else's channel and watch a bunch of their stuff. So at least
I
that's
try.
how I do it.
Yeah. And I try to comment on people's stuff, like
Hmm.
especially if what they're talking about or whatever touches me in a certain way. But the one difficult part of that is that I'm usually watching it on the big screen,
Yeah.
so I can work the remote and hit the like button and all that, but there's really no way to type out a comment on the
Right.
TV.
Right. And I get that too, because that happens with me also. You're watching it on that big screen, and yeah, there's just no way to you leave a comment. Sometimes I'll tell myself, all right, I need to go back to that video and leave a comment, and then
Right.
I just either forget about it or just get caught up with other videos that
Squirrel.
I'm watching.
The
Yeah.
squirrel.
They just got to go away. All right. So let's let's talk about the windmill deal. That was interesting. Them working on the windmill. You talked a bit about it when you're talking about him tutoring the others and imparting some wisdom. So I'm gonna guess here, and I'm just taking a guess, and you tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. When the when they're actually told that they can't work on it anymore, and but they decide to go ahead and do it anyway. That was a big scene for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, it, plus I mean, the other guards that were there kind of like, fell in line with that as well. I
Hmm.
mean, they were in the end they understood what was happening, and they understood that I mean, Martin Sheen's character was already going way off the rails. He was clearly suffering from some type of PTSD, and he lost the relationship with his own son,
Hmm.
and then he has to imprison a character that looks just like his own son.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so maybe that's what made him go crazy. But um,
Maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, So I don't know if it was like maybe it may have forced him to like go into the William Shatner effect, where he kind of like maybe kind of overdid his part sometimes. But
Hmm.
maybe I'm just biased on that. I don't know because you seem to you liked his performance.
Yeah, I did like his performance, and um, yeah, it was a little bit over the top at times, but I didn't think it was too far. I thought it might have been a little bit too over the top towards the end of the movie, the second half of the movie.
Right,
But over the first half, uh, I thought he was pretty right on. Um, and I don't know if you knew this, but I was in the army myself, so had to deal with drill sergeants and just people above you and how they act towards you,
right,
especially if they have some sort of contempt for you. So
right.
I get it. I thought he was pretty good at that. Um, yeah, yeah, I thought he was really good at that. Um, the like I said, the bigger issue for me, yeah, the writing and the execution of the story was a bit was where I just had a lot of problems with the movie. All right, before I get into my thing, my overall thoughts on it, or is there anything else that you wanted to touch on with the movie?
No, I kind of feel bad for recommending it to you now. But,
Oh no, don't feel bad because at the end of the day, this is about seeing movies I've never seen before, and
mhm,
sometimes you're gonna love them, sometimes you're not. It's just that.
right,
It's just that. So I don't feel bad. I'm not one of those people who, after I watch a movie, it's like, oh my god, I wish I had that time back. I don't, because
right,
even if you had never recommended it to me directly like this, I've you recommended it in other places, and then other people, hey, yeah, this movie's great, this movie's good, whatever. So if I never watched it, I would just be sitting around like, man, is it good or is it not good? At least now I've seen it and I have an opinion.
yeah,
So no, don't feel bad about me not really jiving with this movie, and that's really what it comes down to. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give all my
okay,
overall thoughts on it here. Like I said before, it felt a lot of cliches where they were just kind of ticking a lot of boxes for me, and then at the end of the movie, it becomes when, like you said, he had to tell the truth in a certain instance, but it felt like truth used to support wrongdoing,
yeah.
and that was that, and there was nothing else after that. It was just like, oh well, that's it. He told the
Well,
truth in this
he didn't.
instance.
Martin Sheen's character didn't get off scot free though.
No, he didn't get off scot free, but he it, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. I don't think. Um,
Right,
so it was like, okay, yeah, he told the truth in this instance, but it supports something that is just patently wrong.
right,
And then with Charlie Sheen's character, he- that's where we get back to that last scene where it's like, okay, all is forgiven pretty quickly. So
right.
yeah, in the end, this movie was not for me. But like I said, I don't regret watching it, not one bit. So don't don't feel bad about that at all.
Okay,
All right. So let's get to the last movie of the evening, and that is, let me go ahead and grab it from right here. And that movie is Sorry to Bother You. I'm gonna go solo here for a moment.
okay,
So Sorry to Bother You. This came out, I think, 2016. Lakeith Stanfield is the lead actor, and he plays a guy whose name Cassius Green, and he is a telemarketer. Well, when we meet him, he's not a telemarketer. He's just trying to find a job. He's living in his uncle's garage with his girlfriend, and he goes for a job interview as a telemarketer. He gets the job because if you know anything about sales, they'll hire pretty much anybody who walks in the door, and they tell him that. It was a pretty good scene. After he's doctored his resume, and the guy's like, I don't really care, just can you just come in and get on the phones? And he finds success pretty quickly. The problem is that there are some unfair practices. At least his coworkers believe there's some unfair practices at his job. They're not paying what they should be paying, and there's a strike. And he's rising through the ranks at the same time as the strike is going on. And also, there is a really large corporation out there that is people are debating whether or not they're using slave labor, as they're hiring people and then housing them, and they work all day, and then they live on whatever campus they are working at, and they're paid, I guess they're paid very little, but they're given somewhere to live and something to eat, is what I get out of it. All of their essential needs are taken care of, so to speak. All right.
I kind of took it like they were like uh, international, like not necessarily people that would be uh, slaves, for lack of a better word, in this country, but like in China or
Mhm.
in other third world countries that
Right. So yeah,
these workers,
I use the word slave because that's what they used in the movie. But yeah, you're
right,
right. It's not like it's not slavery in a traditional sense that we think of it in America. But yeah, like they just have all these people and they house them and have them
right.
work for very little, if very little money at all. Um, so that's kind of the background. Early on, that's the background of the movie. As the movie goes on, that kind of moves close to the forefront. And so the first thing is I'm pretty sure you did not know, but did you have any idea where we were going when it started, or in through the first act? Let me put it that way.
Uh, no, I definitely did not know we were going to get um, girth. Um, I guess horse girth. I
Right,
would
right.
say. I have to tell you, I was telling Miss Caveman about it, trying to get her to watch it, and when I told her that part, she's like, "What the hell am I going to movie is that?" But I'm intrigued.
Right.
um, she actually rated that maybe higher, but
Okay. Okay.
she's laughing in the background. um, so definitely, if if you're a person that has issues with seeing male genitalia or whatever in a movie, then this is not the movie for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it did a good job of illustrating, of uh, morbidly illustrating like how far companies will go to try to corner a market, like even like with this whole AI thing that's going on,
Hmm.
in today's society that we're fighting today. That I mean, it's not AI necessarily, but they're he's creating his own race,
Hmm.
you know, um, for profit. And were, were they supposed to be eventually be supposed to be like the workers or the slaves?
Yeah.
I
They were supposed to.
I didn't fully understand that. I just thought they were like a bad
Yeah.
sign, like
There
when
was a scene where he Army Hammer is the actor who plays the head of this
right,
corporation. By the way, there's a scene where he kind of explains it. He's like, yeah, they are we're making turning people into this so they basically can be better, cheaper workers.
right,
Um, so yeah, that was that
stronger,
was the gist of
faster,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of our lead actor, Lakeith Stanfield?
I don't recall seeing him in anything else. I may have seen him in something, but the one that his recruiter, the guy that I loved him in Power.
Omari Hardwick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I discovered him at,
Hmm.
and so I was kind of drawn to him. in his character. Um,
Okay. Okay.
but I guess just like they snorted horse to become a horse.
Uh-huh.
That was kind of ironic.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, it was definitely ironic. Lakeith Stanfield, he's been in a quite a few movies. You might have seen. I don't know if you saw it. He was in Uncut Gems and Get Out and Knives Out. Um,
yeah, I've seen Knives Out. I'm not a big horror person, um, so Miss Caveman has seen Get Out,
okay.
um, but I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, he had a pretty big part in Get Out and in Uncut Gems. He was actually had a pretty big part, and he was a lead actor in Judas and the Black Messiah. He was one of the lead actors,
Yeah, I
and
do remember seeing that, but I don't remember him in it.
yeah, I think he was nominated for Oscar for that one. I think I know his co-star Daniel Kaluuya won Oscar for supporting. I think Stanfield was nominated for lead for that one. Not real sure.
He was also in Selma.
Yes, he was in Selma too. Yeah, I'll be honest. It's been a while since I've seen Selma. I don't remember who he played, but I know he was
Yeah,
in it.
and he's apparently on that Atlanta TV series.
Yes, he was definitely on Atlanta TV series. He's got a big part on that, and I'm a fan of that show. So that's the reason for my little bitty smile. But
Oh yeah.
all right. But yeah, he was. I thought he was really good. I also like Tessa Thompson's her performance as the girlfriend,
Hmm.
and even Army Hammer. I know he's got some issues and people don't really like him these days, but I thought he was good here.
Definitely played a good asshole.
Definitely did. He absolutely did that. That's for sure. All right. Just going through the comments really quickly. Miss Caveman, I was pleasantly surprised by Sorry to Bother You. It was strange, but in a good way. And I like Sorry to Bother You as well, says Mizzy. And Miss Caveman, I love Get Out. I do remember him now. I thought he was great in Sorry to Bother You. Yep. So yeah, once you mentioned Get Out, yeah, he really opens the movie in Get Out. All right. So now I have a question that might seem a little strange, uh, but it comes from my experience because I actually saw this in the theater for the first time.
Hmm.
And that question is, do you call this a comedy?
A dark comedy,
Definitely a dark comedy. Definitely a dark
yeah,
comedy.
but it also had um, social commentary to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like I said, I saw it in the theaters, and it was kind of weird. Me and I went with my youngest daughter. We went, and there were it wasn't a full theater. It was maybe a third full. It was kind of a late night kind of deal. I think we went like a 10 o'clock show or something. Um, but there's scenes, certain things would happen, and I would be the only person in the theater laughing. So, so
Yeah,
and I get that other people may not have picked up that it is a dark comedy.
right.
So that's kind of why I threw that out there. All right. So we talked a little bit backstage. We talked about the voices. So one of the things that happens in the movie is to sell more, he is encouraged by Danny Glover. Danny Glover shows up in the movie. He has a small part. And he's kind of a veteran salesman, and he encourages our lead character to use his quote unquote. Ooh, I'm knocking things over. To use his quote unquote his white voice, and this would get him to uh, more acceptable to the people he's calling, and it works out for him. So just as just from your standpoint, how did that sit with you? Let me put it there. Let me ask that.
Well, I definitely noticed it. Um, I definitely noticed it, and that, like I said, that in backstage, I said it reminded me of I can't remember what movie you were talking about, but this came up in another movie swap where you had mentioned this type of um, thing. I thought you had a word for it, but I can't remember what it was.
Probably code switching.
Okay, yeah, that was it. So I, I, I definitely noticed that, and I didn't know how to really take it. I mean, I would be lying if I said that I didn't, that I haven't experienced that in life, you know,
Hmm.
where somebody is one way around me because they feel like they have to adjust themselves to present themselves in a certain light to me
Hmm.
and not be like their true selves or whatever. Um, but I just that was really like really only real issue I had with the film was that I feel like it kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Hmm.
But that again could be my own insecurities and issues about um, the whole problem that this country has.
Okay. So I will agree a little bit that it can. I will agree that it can take you out of the movie because of the way they did it. They overdubbed it, and
Right,
it's clearly not either person's voice. That when in any of those people's voices, clearly not Lakeith Stanfield or Danny Glover or Amari Hardwick is when they do it. So it's
right,
very clearly dubbed over with someone else's voice. So that can take you out of the movie.
right,
So I totally get that. Now, one of the more interesting scenes to me was when he first starts getting when he first gets the job. And this is even before Danny Glover speaks to him, and he picks up the phone, and somebody answers it, and he drops into their living room or into whatever room they're in. Let me put it that way. What do
right.
you think about that scene? Because well, I'll go ahead. What did you think about that?
I wasn't sure if that was. I mean, not to pull a reference back to sliding doors, but I wasn't sure if that was something that was like really happening because the the movie kind of describes him as having a superpower. Like he has this ability to be able to really connect
Hmm.
with a person. So I don't know if that was him, kind of like um, fully immersing himself into the conversation,
Hmm.
and by doing that, he appeared in the room with them, close enough to be able to touch them and hold their hand to walk them through, the process, to handhold them or carry them through it.
Hmm.
So I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be like his superpower. So I wasn't sure if that was like really happening or not.
Yeah, it was for me. It was like he was we as the audience were getting a glimpse as to what was going on in these people's houses when they answered the phone.
Right,
And if you've ever had a telemarketer call you, it's always something else is always happening at home when it
right,
happens. So
right,
I thought that was a nice way to show that, and we got some interesting things that were happening. And yeah, Miss Caveman made a great point, but I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it was an interesting look into what's happening in people's lives, and when they hear the voice on the phone, it's like, do I really want to deal with this right now, whether
right.
they're even actually busy or not? So I really did enjoy that. As the movie went on a little bit further, and we got into the relationship between Cash and his girlfriend, whose name was Detroit. How did you feel about their relationship?
Well, I kind of felt like she was a hypocrite in a
Okay.
way
Okay.
because I mean, none of what I'm saying affected like my enjoyment of the movie, but I just felt like her character really became in question because she was pushing him to, stand up to big business and to stand up for his friends on the picket line, and that he shouldn't just roll over and give them whatever they want. But then the whole, you know, museum scene where we think we're going to be there to see her art, but her art was kind of like self mutilation in a way, or
Hmm.
mutilation is not the right word, but uh, I'm sorry, I can't think of the right word here. Where she was like really kind of like putting herself down and
Yeah.
showing herself like in a really ugly light, like
Yeah.
having pig's blood and stuff like that, thrown at her, and that was somehow supposed to you know uh, further her art. I just
Yeah.
that
Okay.
I didn't understand fully.
Right, and I'm pretty much in agreement with you. I don't know if I'd go full hypocrite as much as I would say disillusioned. Um,
Right. Well, she did kind of like enjoy the perks
y-
of his life,
yeah.
when because he starts off living in his uncle's garage, you know, and every time they go to have sex, the garage door opens up and
Right. Yeah.
kids are playing basketball outside. And to, I did enjoy the way they kind of like uh, the CG or whatever they did to like kind of like metamorphosize
Mm.
his his progression. Although it wasn't real clear about how much time that took for him to achieve that, because
Yeah. It was.
they just went on strike. And so were they on strike for months and months and months while he was developing his career? Or
Yeah. Time they never really were really clear on. Um, I don't think it was a huge amount of time, but I mean, it could have been months. It could have been weeks. Uh, but yeah, they're never really real clear on that. And going back into the chat, uh, David Cross and Patton Oswalt did Cash and Mr. Blank's voices. I thought that part was hilarious. And here she makes a great point. She says the exaggeration I felt was necessary to emphasize the absurdity, and I really think that that sums up the entire movie.
hmm
We get all this exaggeration and is trying to emphasize how absurd things really are.
right,
Um, so I think that's a great point that she makes with that. Um, so when we get to the part where we mentioned that he's kind of making his own people, we get the Army Hammers part, and you get this
hmm
great big party, and we get the whole deal where he's making his own race here.
hmm
And at that point, I always say that that's pretty much the point where you're in this movie or you're out. Meaning,
yeah,
this is the part where you're pretty much deciding, okay, I like this movie, I really like this movie, or I hate this movie.
yeah. I
So,
was just like, what the f, you know? It just was. Um, I don't know that it was necessary to see,
right,
a horse penis or not, but it definitely, was impactful.
right. No, I
And
don't.
maybe that's more like where the dark humor is supposed to come in.
Mhm.
Um, and then I also don't know if that was in some perverted sense Army Hammer's uh, point of trying to sell it to people to, you know, hey, if you do this, if you take this drug, you know,
He
you'll have
did.
a you'll have a 20
Yeah,
inch, you know.
he did mention that when he was bringing it up to Cash. He did mention
Right,
that, which again, yeah, it goes to your point. Yeah, so I can definitely see that as him trying to use that as a selling point. Yeah, if you do this,
right,
you'll be, hey guys, you'll be, hanging down there.
right. And then the whole, you know, give me 5 years of your life for $5 million or whatever it was. I can't remember
It was a
what it
hundred
was about.
million.
Oh, 100 million. Okay.
Yeah, it was 100 million. And yeah, 5 was it 5? Yeah, 5 years of your life.
Yeah. and I didn't understand. I guess maybe because of how I guess because of how he was able to uh, sell himself as a marketer, that
Hmm.
Army Hammer thought that he would be a good leader to, like, you know,
Yeah.
pull these people up from their horse hooves
Right.
to to uh, march on, like, you know, good horses. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, there's no doubt that he was uh definitely an exaggerated character in that. And Miss Caveman chimed back in. So he described it as me talking about you and then asked me to watch it. And my response was initially, do I have to? LOL. But I'm glad I did. It kind of reminded me of the movie Brazil, directed by Terry Gilliam. I have seen Brazil. Uh, Brazil is a movie I think I have to watch again, but I definitely see where she's coming from when she says it reminded her of Brazil. I definitely get that though. Yeah, I have to watch that one again because I didn't quite get it, and and not so I can't really say if I liked it or not because I just didn't get it. So I'm gonna have
Hmm.
to watch that one again. Um, do you see a resemblance between the two?
I I've seen Brazil, but it's been a really long time ago, and I don't really remember it.
Okay, okay, that's fair enough. All right. Um, yeah, we pretty much touched on most of the things here. Was there anything else you wanted to get into before we moved on?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, and the same as we did for the villainess. Just go ahead and tell me what you thought about it overall. If you have a score from Miss Caveman, by all means, share it.
All right. Well, both Miss Caveman and I give it a 4 star. Um, Definitely really appreciate the fact that it was suggested to us and that we watched it. If I would have known about the whole graphic nature of it in the beginning, I don't know if I would have necessarily gravitated towards it. But I think that's one of the beautiful things about this community is that is being exposed to different things like this, different subject matters in the way they're described in film.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So we did so we met up on 3 out of 4 movies. So not a bad night. So
Yeah, yeah, I guess.
think we did pretty well. And just going back and see it. Oh, well, so we have a correction, sir. We have
Oh,
we have a correction for you. She
okay.
says I actually gave
Oh,
it a 5.
oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at my phone, so just going by memory.
Uh, bravo, bravo, Miss K, man. So all right, well that is it. We made it to the end. How you feeling?
Good. I really enjoyed this, and thank you again for having me on. Really
Absolutely. So
appreciate it.
I'm gonna turn the screen over to you, and you can tell everybody about your channel or Instagram or whatever you have. Of course, guys, his links to his channel and Instagram are in the description. So if you catch the replay, you can definitely click on those and find him that way. And go ahead, sir, take it away.
Well, Dell, thank you again for having me on. Caveman! Um, just the kind of thing I do. But if you like to watch videos that aren't edited, I'm your guy. Uh, and I just kind of do hauls every once in a while and try to do movie recommendations and stuff. And usually show up in a lot of people's chats and try to help, contribute to the conversation and discussions uh, about what's going on. So appreciate it if you follow me and subscribe to my channel. And Dell, thank you again very much.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you coming on. I had a good time. This was a lot of fun. We got 4 movies in, and we did it in a little more time than normal. So I'm glad we
Yeah.
didn't keep everybody all night. And I am sorry, you guys see me looking down. I'm just looking at my calendar to make sure of who I have coming on next and over the next few weeks. And yeah, we got 2 big ones here on this channel. So next week we'll be going on the 7th, which I believe is Monday. Yep, that's Monday the 7th. We'll be going for movie swap that night. And my guest then is going to be Stephanie from Movie Chatter. So I'm really excited
Yeah, she's
about
great.
that. One of my favorites, one of my personal favorites, one of the people who really inspired me to get into YouTube, and she doesn't even know it, but that's okay. I'm gonna let her know.
Right.
And
She's a great person too.
she is a great person. And the following week, we're going back to back, ladies. The following week is all of you guys' favorite. I have Mel of My Killer Podcast coming in on the 15th. So we are going to have a great time with them. I hope everybody comes back and checks out those live streams or the replays, whichever works best for you. Again, subscribe to Caveman, support his channel. Wonderful, wonderful channel, still growing. Hopefully my channel keeps growing. So yeah, support mine as well if you like what you see. And also subscribe to all the people who are in the chat. If you were here live, just scroll through the names. Most of them have a YouTube channel. Not all of them, but most of them do. And check out their work. So we got some good content creators out there. Guys, that is all I have for you on this one. I will catch you on the next